Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Science Saturday, and this is wild. I'm inside. Can you believe it? So I'm really excited. This month, we are talking about something that I know zero about, like nothing, nada, zilch. This is all brand new for me, and you know how much I love that, learning new things. It really makes the sound effects and reactions just so much better. So this month, we are in a top secret warehouse laboratory, something like that. And this is the headquarters of OCOVI, which stands for Ocean and Coastal Observing Virgin Islands. And yes, I looked up at a poster on the wall and cheated to find that out. So we are here in the warehouse to be learning about, are you ready for the big reveal? Here I am using my, oh geez, my phone, switching around. And we have our resident expert for the day. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Excellent. So, who are you? What are you doing? Why are we here?
My name is Antonio Frischetti. I've been working with OCOVI for a few years now. And what we have here is a Slocum glider. These are oceanographic equipment used for
okay, fun.
For getting data on the ocean, such as temperature and salinity and density, among other instruments.
I just remember Joe wanted me to have my camera turned sideways. Sorry about that. We're gonna flip us over. I'm so used to, so guys, I'm going straight from Zoom today, which is super fun. We've got Joe, you want to say hey, hi? Say hey, Joe. Sorry to interrupt you, Antonio. Oh. We're going. Welcome to Science Saturday, where everything is super cash.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this thing, and we've got people on Zoom. So thank you everybody for coming. This is wild. We've got Facebook Live, we've got Zoom, we've got in here with Antonio and Joe and Smush, hey yo, and me. So tell me a little bit about, let's go background. What is OCOVI?
Okay, so OCOVI, as you said earlier, is Ocean and Coastal Observing Virgin Islands. It's one of the branches of CARICOOS, which stands for Caribbean Coastal Ocean Observing System. And it's also part of the IOS, Integrated Ocean Observing System. These are groups meant for, observing ocean conditions, coastal areas, and trying to see what's happening, what's going on. CARICOOS is responsible for a lot of important projects here, such as the ocean buoys, for example, one by St. John, which gives us information on the ocean temperature, current, winds. So those are very important for a lot of the people here in the Virgin Islands.
Very cool. And I see that we have some guests on Zoom. Joe, do we want to switch over to some of our esteemed guests that I'm seeing pop up on my screen? Who we got? All right, I see. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to do many things with two hands. I see Dr. Roy Watlington on the line. Welcome. Do you want to hop off of mute and do a quick introduction?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Joe, Antonio, everyone. Thanks a lot for, by the way, putting OCOVI on Science Saturday. We really appreciate getting the visibility and reaching out for people, particularly young people. And in general, I just want to congratulate you on the series in general. I'm the principal investigator for CARICOOS OCOVI. I'm also a board member of both CARICOOS and OCOVI. CARICOOS is like the parent organization. It is a part of NOAA, essentially. That's why you see the NOAA logo on the wall. And the funding, most of our funding comes from NOAA. Through some work that Doug Wilson did with OCOVI, he was able to get funding also from Rutgers University and a private foundation called Vettelesen, UNGA, and other funds as well. But in general, most of our commitment is to CARICUS, which has its offices at University of Puerto Rico. And our main goal is ocean observing, to observe the ocean and to do so in a coordinated manner with 10 other observing systems across the United States.
All right. Thanks so much for being on today, Dr. Watlington. So I always want to call you Professor Watlington, and you always remind me that you're not my professor anymore because I left UVI a hot minute ago.
Well, I remember you fondly as a student, but I'm not doctor either, so don't use either. Call me Roy. Okay?
All right. Well, this is just a day of learning. Roy, thank you so much for being here today. All right. And we've got a few other key team members on the line. So who wants to hop on and do a quick introduction next? I think I heard.
I can go next. Can you hear me?
Hey, morning, Madison.
Morning. Hi, I'm Madison Miller. I am with OCOVI. I run their social media and help coordinate outreach projects. So that's me. I'm a master's student at the university in the Marine and Environmental Science program. My main focus is seagrass. So when I'm with OCOVI, I'm also always learning because this is not my area of expertise, but I enjoy it and it's fun and these guys are great to work with.
Hi, my name is Louis Sylvester, and I'm the project director for OCOVI, and I help basically
Awesome. Thanks.
administer the organization and work with Antonia and Madison and Shamoy and Doug and all of those who help us carry out our duties fulfilling CARICUS's mission on the Virgin Islands.
Hey, good morning. My name is Shamoy. I've been with OCOVI since like 2019. Currently, I'm a master's student at university, Master's in Marine and Environmental Science. Sorry about that. So I actually am a choral person, but I do have a really very broad interest in the entire marine science field. So physical oceanography is one of them, and that's one way I get to continue learning on different stuff, different things, sorry.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. So now that I know that I had a little trouble with my Zoom, and I apologize about that, I want to get back over to this giant, not a torpedo in the room. So we started talking a little bit about what it can do, but what I'm really interested in, what does this do for us in the U.S. Virgin Islands? So we'll hand it back over to Antonio first, and then we can go and you guys can talk on Zoom a little bit, just because Antonio is right in front of me. And so, you know what, we're going in order.
All right, so this is a Slocum glider. This is one of 3 different types of models of gliders. You also have a sea glider, which those of you who saw the banner, that's what that is. It's a sea glider. And then there's also a spray, which I have actually not had a chance to work with yet. But I'm most experienced with the Slocum. So as for what use it has here for us in the Virgin Islands, if you see here on the side, I pry open this cover here. Here we have a CTD sensor, which stands for conductivity, temperature, and depth. Ooh. So this kind of, as this glides through the ocean water column, this is constantly pulling in water and measuring it for different things, such as the conductivity, the ocean temps, and how deep it is. And this information is vital because as soon as it comes back up to the surface, it gets sent home to the different databases, and that data is then used to help forecast hurricanes, for example. So these go all throughout the Caribbean, depending on where the mission is taking place. And so this data can be absolutely valuable during hurricane season, both for forecasting, but also for looking at trends.
Okay, so what kind of trends are you guys looking for?
So we can see what the temperature was like in the ocean, and then compare that to what kind of weather we're seeing, such as cloud formations, maybe the intensity of the hurricanes. So you definitely try to get these out before storms pass through the territory, so they can be in the field when storms are passing through. So the more data we have, the more data we can pull from.
Okay, interesting. That's pretty cool.
In some circumstances, yes. If occasionally these have been in storms, but in the down once they're in the water, they're pretty safe.
Okay, so yeah,
These
that's
very
wild to think about one of these out in a hurricane. But I guess, well, how deep are they going?
Well, it depends on the model. This particular one is rated for 1,000 meters.
Oh, got the
So
sticker.
that's about 3,000 feet, 3.3 thousand feet.
That's wild. Much deeper than anything I have can go.
Yeah, so these can go. I know that we currently have one out that is currently saying around 500 is where it's currently its target depth.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So these are very deep. So like I said, provided not near the surface, they're more or less safe for most things, boats, other things. The biggest thing they have to worry about is probably marine life or maybe a ocean shelf that something happens.
Oh no. Now I'm picturing like a pod of dolphins, like, we're gonna come and mess up your data.
We actually have had ocean creatures. We believe maybe a shark attack actually ended a mission early this year for
oh no,
Rutgers.
not the sharks.
Yeah, fortunately, we were able to repair the Rutgers glider and get it back out there.
In my mind, this shark was like a budding young scientist, and he's like, "Oh,
What's this?
I'm gonna come and help out. Don't worry, guys, here I come." Oh man, now I'm thinking about those cartoons that are all over Facebook, the shark cartoons. If you guys are listening, because obviously everybody's watching Science Saturday, I would like a cartoon about a budding young scientist shark who wants to help with the OCOVI mission and ends up messing up one of the gliders.
I would pay money to see that.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be great. It's perfect. I love it. All right, sorry, I got us way off track there. Nobody's surprised.
Let's talk about the design.
Ooh, yeah, the design.
Yeah, how does it work?
So this particular model, the way these work is through buoyancy. So you may have seen in the back here that there is a thruster. This is actually only for emergency use only. Say there's a layer of fresh water at the surface due to heavy rains or influx from a river or something, and it creates a layer that it cannot get through due to the buoyancy differences. This will kick on and help it to push through. Primarily how these work is through buoyancy. So the actual central chamber here is under vacuum pressure. We've sucked out a lot of the air. And in the nose section, you have two things that are how it moves. So one is the battery packs are on a rail system that allows it to move forward and back. This changes the center of gravity, allowing it to pitch up or down.
All right, and to be clear, we're not taking it apart for two reasons. One, I can't even imagine how much this thing costs.
Upwards of 100,000 probably.
I don't have $100,000. And this one you said is actually owned by the Navy.
This one is the Notion Oceanographic Office. USA is an oceanographic instrument, and so we are not allowed to open these ones up.
Top secret here, folks. Okay, sorry, I'm all about the interruption. So inside top secret said device, there are sliders.
Yes, so there's a battery on a rail system that moves forward and back, which will help to change the center of gravity and change the pitch. But in the front, you have an oil bladder. So you can think of it as one here and one here connected. And if you want to dive, you will actually suck the oil from the outside in. So this section here is actually exposed to the water where the bladder is. And so by sucking in the oil, the volume of the bladder changes. It actually decreases, but the mass isn't. So this causes the buoyancy to go down, and you would move the battery pack to the front, making the pitch lower, and it will actually shift downwards and move that way.
Okay.
Vice
I'm
versa,
following.
if you take the oil from inside and pump it into the bladder on the outside, the buoyancy increases, so it will want to rise. You shift the battery pack to the back, and it will pitch up, and it will actually go up.
That's wild. So like the battery pack in there is gliding around. The oil is doing magic. We'll just say, because that's what I'm convinced science is. Science is magic. That's super cool. And it's just gliding up for a few hundred feet and then down for a few hundred feet. Pretty much.
Several hundred feet, yes.
Several hundred feet. Okay. That's
So
super cool.
the last thing that makes it allows it to move into these wings. So without, if you just put it in without the wings, if you change the buoyancy, for the most part, it's just going to kind of go up.
Right.
Straight. To the, pop this in.
Ooh. Now it's a superhero.
Once
Got
it's
it.
got its wings, yeah, it actually, as it moves, as it starts to sink, it will actually, these wings allow it to move forward. So once you have the wings on, it allows it to actually move around. And then finally in the back here, we have this tail fin and the rudder. So that moves back and forth, allowing it to turn left or right.
So is there somebody at the surface controlling left and right, or is it just kind of going at the whim of its scientific heart?
Both.
I
So
love it.
The way that works is here in the top, you actually have an antenna.
Uh-huh.
On the inside here, you have an Iridium satellite phone as well as GPS.
Ooh, okay.
So once it comes to the surface,
This guy is
there's also
super bougie. The
this air
glider
bladder.
has its own satellite phone.
It has an air bladder here in the back. And that's for when it's at the surface. It'll come to the surface, that air bladder will inflate, giving us extra buoyancy and putting the tail more into the air. And the GPS will go first. It will beam up, say, okay, where am I? Once it gets the information, I know where I'm at. GPS turns off. The reason it has to do this is they share an antenna, so they can't both run at the same time.
Okay.
GPS finds out where I am, then it connects to the satellite phone. Satellite beams up and says, okay, guys, I'm checking in. I'm here at this location. Do you want my data? Do you want me to do anything different?
Do you want my data?
And if it doesn't hear
Do you
back
think
in-
I'm helpful? Sorry.
If it doesn't hear back in a few minutes, it goes, okay, well, I guess I'll continue what you told me to do last time. And so it has a mission loaded into it and tells it to
Okay.
go to waypoint A at these coordinates, going up and down however many times, go to waypoint B. And so it will follow those sets of instructions unless it gets told to do something different.
Okay, that is really, really cool. So this has my mind like buzzing with so many uncertainties because it is wild. So we're collecting data. What kind of what are we learning from this data? Smush. What do you think we're learning from this? Look how comfortable you look in this chair, man. Come on, get up and work. So what are we collecting here? What are we learning? What is our scientific emotional goal?
So these gliders are super versatile. They're able to do all kinds of different things. So if you actually hand me those papers right there. So on one of our recent deployments with Rutgers, you can actually have multiple bays. So this is the science bay, which has the CTD. You can have additional bays depending on how many you want to fit on there with weight restrictions, everything else. One such bay was called an 82CP,
Okay.
and that is used for measuring the ocean currents, velocity, and it's a hydrophone attached. So it pings out acoustic sounds and it uses that to get information about the currents. We also had on the outside this, which is an AccuSound acoustic receiver, and that was being used to measure, to listen for things like whales.
Ooh.
So you can have all kinds of sensors attached to the outside, attached to the inside. And so it ultimately comes down to what do you want to use it for?
Okay. Smush, what do you want to use it for? You on the spot. What kind of science? What do we want to learn today?
Definitely knowing when hurricanes are going to be coming is
Uh-huh.
very helpful.
and it can save lives.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely. So what kind of data would we be looking for if a hurricane was coming?
I would think wind currents and not wind currents, like pressure
Uh-huh.
Zoom panel.
and temperature.
Uh-huh. And temperature, yeah. All right, what do we got on Zoom?
So if we're going for hurricanes, I think probably the biggest one would be the sea surface temperatures.
Okay.
Hot water helps to drive the formation of hurricanes and tropical storms. So that's probably the biggest thing I would say for getting data on hurricanes.
Okay. All right. So let's say it's hurricane season and we are ready to deploy. Now, I've heard that the team that we have on Zoom has actually done some deployment. So what I want to do is, since we have been making Antonio work so hard, we're going to pass it over to one of our panelists. So you guys deployed the other day, and I heard that, was I correct? Chamoy was on that deployment, I believe. Yeah, so let's go over to Chamoy, and I want to hear all about what was it like. What did you do on the deployment? Come back over to me so these guys can have a break. So Chamoy, tell me all about it. What was the deployment like? How do you feel? We can even go into some super like how you feel like this is helping your career as a student and all kinds of fun stuff. And I'm going on mute, so it's all you, buddy.
Well, you gotta tell me when I gotta get off. But so this actually isn't my first deployment, but deployments are actually pretty fun. The only sad time is you gotta wait a little bit after to make sure everything's going good before you leave those badges out there. So yeah, Antonio, Matt, and I were out on one of the university's boats. We went about 9 miles south of the airport. We actually deployed 2 gliders, one from the Navy and one from Rutgers. And Antonio had just made repairs to one, so I was actually trying to figure out what his job was like, his working skills, see if that glider actually floats or if it sinks. It floated. It made its 2 descents and came back up. Good job, Antonio. I'm proud of you, bro. But just the getting everything prepped and putting on wings for these gliders, it's pretty easy. You're footing, basically just tossing it into the water, just letting it go down as natural as possible, and not like carrying it and throwing it in. I wish I had a video I could have shown you. Well, I wish I could have shown a video right on top of here. But the best part about it is just seeing, these 2 pieces of equipment doing their job. While we're floating, waiting for them, we just happen to be talking about them. One of my friends said they look like Spirit Airlines. But the Navy one, if I remember correctly, it descended to 50 meters first, and then back up. That was just his first dive. And then the Rutgers one, it did 2 dives, two preliminary dives, I think, one at 10 and the other at 50, and then they just continued on to do its official dives. But the waiting on a rocking boat, it's not fun for some people. So I had my entire class there, and everyone was just like, yo, we need to get out here. It's starting to get a lot. We're starting to get really seasick, and we all endured it. I'm used to kind of being on a boat, so it's kind of fine. But yeah, that's kind of the basis of glider deployments. Retrievals, however, don't get me started on those. They are hard. Because you kind of have to pull them out of the water, and they are heavy once they're filled with seawater. So that in itself is a another topic. But the Rutgers one, I don't remember if I don't know if Antonio or Roy could correct me, but the Rutgers one, where is it heading to? Is it's staying in the VI, or is it heading down south to the south of the Caribbean? Can someone like help me with that one? I forgot.
I could tell you that real quickly. This is
Do it.
Roy.
Oh, Roy's got it.
Yeah, the Rutgers one is good that you ask. It's going to stay in the Virgin Islands Basin for a while. That's between here and St. Croix, and then it's going to start moving east. And the original mission was to go pretty far down the Eastern Caribbean island chain.
Mhm.
We have relations with the BVI, with Anguilla, with other countries, so that we can actually transverse their waters. And you want to get a feeling for the profile of temperature, salinity, and so forth along the entire northeastern Caribbean chain. And all of that, as both Chamoy and Antonio have said, is to help us know the potential for hurricane formation.
All right, super cool. So Chamoy mentioned that he wished that we could see a video of them deploying. And I got a little thumbs up from our favorite Science Saturday scientist, Joe, and he's going to hook it up. So I'm going to go back on mute, and we're going to work some technological magic and watch a little bit of an amazing video that we're going to put the link to in the comments at some point today, so that you guys can watch the whole thing. But here's a little preview of the deployment of one of these amazing, not torpedo, scientific magical devices.
The data gathered by these glider deployments will go into computer models and studies of various sorts done by scientists all over the world to better understand hurricane, tropical storm formation and intensification.
Being able to accurately forecast hurricane tracks and intensity is important in developing the trust within a community that you're able to do that, so that when you do issue a forecast, they take it seriously.
Projects like this with gliders and remote sensing and observational technology out there in the ocean is really critical to education. We can bring that data back into the lab and have students work with it in real time. So we're not just putting students out into the ocean to understand it, we're bringing that data in the ocean back to them.
These gliders are very important, especially here in the Caribbean or anywhere, for that instance, where hurricanes are prone to hit land. Being prepared is the most important thing. We don't want such a catastrophe.
All right, super cool. Thanks, Joe. Here I am. All right, so we're talking about ocean temperatures, we're talking about storms, and in the last few Science Saturdays, I've kind of been able to wiggle my way in to talk just a little bit about climate change and warming ocean temperatures. And I think that it's really amazing that this work is being done in the territory, because this is seriously like legitimate science going out there. These devices are out in the ocean actively measuring the temperature. So I don't know who wants to respond to this. Roy, I am inclined to move this over to you. And just, as we're looking at, our territory went through Irma and Maria, Ida just, went through, we've got so many major storms and so much going on. So do you want to take just a minute or two to share your thoughts as we are looking at the effects of climate change on all of our Science Saturday topics.
Yeah, and this, if you hear me, this is, and that's where the gliders have a long range purpose as well. In any one hurricane season, we want to figure out the potential, because of the temperature of the water and so forth, to generate or to intensify a hurricane. That's a short-term goal, and that immediately affects the modeling and those things that help to predict the paths of the hurricanes. But long range, these data are all being stored and put into data sets that will help to anticipate climate change, specifically to assess the magnitude of the warm water pool, that is the water on which, from which hurricanes draw their energy. And that has so much to do now with the transfer of heat from the equator to the poles, which in turn leads to the stability of the climate system. And so the gliders add to those as well. The Virgin Islands are fortunate to be in the location we are, because we can run experiments like this in waters that are pretty safe and not tremendously cold or tremendously dangerous. But data also being taken up in high latitudes, off of Newfoundland, Labrador, and places like that, to see how the energy is being transferred from our region to that region. So long range, we definitely play a role. And in general, yes, we are liable to experience a lot of effects from climate change. We see them already, but I think they're going to be much more persistent. I don't want to be alarmist and say they're going to be worse, but they're going to definitely be different, and we're going to have to learn how to be prepared for them.
Cool. Thanks, Roy. So I think, as I introduced a little bit, I think it's really important that we look at each of our Science Saturday topics, not just for the very specific topics that we're talking about and the amazing work that's being done in the territory, because, let's face it, we've met some really, really phenomenal people, but to really take a few steps back and look at how this is affecting so many different aspects of our lives. And I do want to give a quick shout out. Last month, I was on Sandy Point with the Sea Turtles. Thanks for the t-shirt, guys. I wanted to do a delayed advertisement, and thank you for them. But, we were talking about how rising temperatures affects the sexes of sea turtle hatchlings, and that is wild. And then the data that is being collected in this project is really important for so many different things. And also, what could happen with the data after these initial studies are done? How much can this keep on helping us down the road? And I think that Antonio might have some stuff up on the laptop behind me in a second. I see something loaded, so we're gonna delay. Everybody be distracted. So the data, I think the data is super cool. I don't always understand it, but that's okay, because we have really smart friends who do understand it. So are we ready, Antonio?
I'm still singing this.
It's still loading. That's okay. So let's take it over. Roy, you got something else to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Chamoy didn't mention. I thought he would. There's another glider, and you showed a picture of it when we started out, the one with the long red antenna. That one is called Sea Glider. That is owned by NOAA itself. One glider that we have is owned by Rutgers. The other one is owned by the Navy. And the one that you showed a picture of that we just shipped back to NOAA is owned by NOAA. And that one, on that one, Chamoy got training. All of our guys have gotten, and women have gotten training. Antonio has gone to Rutgers. Chamoy has gone to NOAA in Miami and learned about the different kinds of gliders. So I just want you to know, these guys have a lot of expertise, more than they wanted to brag about.
So I think, wow, Roy, way to put you on the spot. But like Kitty was doing, I'll show the t-shirt, So yeah, was that 2018 or 2019? I think it was 2019 that I was in Miami and got pretty cool training. Like, it was very informational, hands-on too, on the sea glider. Sea gliders, it looks a lot different from from the Slocum gliders, but in my opinion, it's a better design. But Antonio might have some reservations about that one. But yeah, it just the complete 4-in-1 on the sea glider. We got to learn to break it down, put it back together, learn all the internal works, including piloting it. So my friend Matt and I, who also works for OCOVI, he was in Miami too, and we got to learn to do that, which I enjoy coding, and a lot of it is coding for that. And another part of it is you don't have to be at a computer 24/7. You give it instructions, it does its dives. When it's done with its dives, no matter how long you give it to do, it will complete it. And if anything is wrong, it will send you the signal to say that something is definitely wrong. Please stop on the side of the road and pilot me so I know what to do. So they're all both Slocum and the Sea Gliders are pretty cool gliders, and I want to get a little more information on the Slocum gliders eventually. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Shamoy. That's really, really cool to hear you talking about, the experience. And as Roy pointed out, you guys don't have to be humble. You're doing amazing things and learning so much. And I think you guys know me. I think that everything is the coolest. I'm going to pick every single little thing to be my favorite. But my new favorite is that this amazing technology and experience is coming into the university. You guys, are UVI students in the master's program, and there's so much really amazing stuff. So what I want to do now is Antonio has set up some more visual aids, some stuff going around. So I'm going to flip the camera back around, and do you want to give us a little tour of what we've got going on outside of the actual glider?
Yeah. So if you want to talk about things besides the glider, we have some things here. For example, we have the Trident ROV. This is a remote operated vehicle. An underwater drone is probably the easiest way to explain it. So it has multiple propellers here, forward, back, up and down, left, right. And in the front, you have a camera. So this allows us to get a good look of what's going on underwater. And it pilots off of this controller, which is basically, it's an Android tablet with a gamepad attached
like
to
a
it.
PlayStation controller.
I have actually used a PlayStation controller in a pinch with my phone, and it worked surprisingly well.
All right.
So all those years of being told that I'm wasting my time playing video games has now come to actually help me.
We were just talking about video games driving here. And so Smosh, I'm sorry that I made fun of you for taking time off from reading to play video games. I was wrong.
Gotta develop those hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, no. So in our long-term goal of getting Smush to be a marine biologist, we have decided that video games are an acceptable practice.
It's actually surprising. I guess I should talk a lot about that, but yeah. So this is fantastic. It is great, especially for like benthic, looking at the benthic habitat. So seagrass, which is what I studied for.
Kitty and Joe, it's muted, so we can't hear.
Sorry about that.
What was the last thing you heard?
Seagrass.
Sorry, guys.
So,
My
I'm gonna
fingers are
rewind.
smushing all over the Zoom today. This is just, I'm a little bit too excited, I think.
I can rewind a little bit.
Yeah, so let's go back to the camera capabilities. And also I saw that Madison just popped up on my screen, and that makes me think about communications and, you know, the social media and sharing this
Oh, yeah.
information, and having some high quality footage really helps with that. That way? Woo!
I think I had to
Sorry.
reset. Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, the camera on this is actually a really good camera. I think it records in 1080p, so it gives a pretty good high quality video image. So it's great for looking at see what's under the water. I'm gonna run and grab something real quick.
Okay.
It has a tether.
A tether? What? How much do you think you could drive that? Ooh,
This is the
man.
tether that goes to.
Okay.
This connects here and provides the power to this Wi-Fi box. And this is how it communicates to the gamepad. And I know that Dr. Tyler Smith at UVI has been working with these, I think off the Romantic Bank.
Okay, super
Looking at the
cool.
wall. I think it was, pretty sure it's Tyler Smith. I also know
makes
I worked
sense.
with Stephen Retchford for a little bit, I think with one of his classes. But yeah, these are phenomenal. Looking at, I tried using it for my thesis for a little bit just to check on my seagrass beds without having to actually go out and swim out to them, which is nice. But these could be definitely used for communicating with the public. A lot of times when we talk to them about data and such, you know, they may not understand fully. You know, they'll have an understanding, but they won't fully understand until they see what we're talking about, and that can actually provide that.
Cool. So I noticed that you've got another really cool thing behind you here.
So this
What
is a
is this?
spoon trip buoy. So this floats at the surface. It has some solar panels to provide power to this, and I believe this one is meant for getting data on the wave action. So what are the waves
Cool.
levels at? The more,
I love
you know,
those solar panels. It's
Yeah.
just like so, you know, compact and ready to go. And its name is Spoon Drift.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's adorable. In a totally scientific, awesome way.
So I believe that's the
Adorable.
company who makes these.
It kind of looks like the rocket ships when they fall down into the ocean.
Oh,
they
yeah.
A little parachute right here, and you got it.
Very cool design. All right. So one more quick thing. I noticed Smush is standing next to, it looks like a data printout. And I don't know if that has anything to do with what we're talking about right now. I just saw it. And I think that it's really pretty because the artist in me just thinks that data is beautiful.
Yeah, so this was a data packet I got from Rutgers on how to operate these. And this is an example of some of the data in a visualized form. So this is a CTD data check. And it gives you an idea what the, let's see, what is that? The depth is on the left-hand side. Right-hand side seems to be the water density. And then on the bottom here on the x-axis, we have the date. So this is what the depth and the density of the water was over time when they were taking that.
Super cool.
This one, and there's different ones for like temperature anomalies, dense compared to the density plot, thermal lag.
So like scientists, smart people, look at this paper and they're just like, oh yeah, no, totally, something's happening. And I'm like, ooh, a rainbow. And this is why I'm in outreach. All right, so we are coming close to our time. And so I want to take a quick moment. Joe, do we have any questions that we really need to answer? All right, so I have to do something very important. Joe, can you come here, please? So back in January, Science Saturday was, I think, the day before my birthday, and Joe totally called me out. And this month, we actually have my two favorite Science Saturday guys. You guys are too far apart from each other.
Crouch down.
Somebody's gonna screenshot this. So
Joe and Smush have birthdays this week. So I just want to send a huge shout out and thank you to my favorite science guys hiding behind my giant head. Jeez. So happy birthday to Joe. Happy birthday to Smush. Any other birthdays out there coming up? Happy birthday to you too. So we are wrapping up our time. You know that I will keep on babbling forever, but in the interest of, oh, I see Madison coming off of mute. Hold on, let me mute myself.
Okay. I was gonna say, if you all could get in there with Antonio, I would like to get a screenshot of the Zoom meeting if possible.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get Antonio in here too.
Here, Antonio. So let's
Okay.
see everyone who's in.
Everybody smile on 3.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
1, 2, 3. Got it.
And by the
Awesome,
way,
thank you.
and I should mention,
Awesome. Well, guys, everybody.
I think Roy was gonna say something, Kitty.
just real quick, just that Madison is in charge of our public relations, because a major portion of what we do is to inspire young people and to inform them. And that's why she goes on the outings and takes lots of good pictures. And she's in charge of most of our social media. And thank you for that, Madison.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So just add a
as we're
Kobe.
getting ready to sign off, I want to give one more opportunity to our panelists to hop off of mute and say anything. Oh, sorry, fuzzy microphone all up in the camera. So final words. Who else? I'm gonna just go ahead and say, Shamoy, what do you got? Final words.
Final words. Thank you, OCOVI. I don't know, like, just being a part of this is pretty cool because I still, as I said earlier, I get to learn new things and I get to work with these cool instruments, which more than half the time at the beginning, I don't know what they're about. But then when you put your hands on them, you learn everything about them. And then people ask you about them and you're just like, oh, I know this, I could share it, you know? So yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Shamoy. All right, and we haven't heard from Lewis at all. I'd love to hear a quick goodbye. Hello.
I don't think he's on the Zoom
I think
call.
we lost him.
Yeah. Can I add something? I don't know if this was mentioned, it might have been before I hopped on, but if you go to the OCOVI website, you can look at live trackings from the buoys around the St. Thomas and some other data. I personally use those when I am talking to Congress about climate change. So I think that that's kind of an interesting thing that the general public can use if they're just wanting to know if they should go out on the boat that day or if they want to get more in depth and track data. So just something that I think should have been mentioned if it wasn't already.
All right. Let's just take a pause. And this lady just said when she speaks to Congress. No big deal. But so we are up at our time. So thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. You know, I love to learn about things that I am clueless about. The list is long, but this has definitely been a really fun one. So from Team Science Saturday up here in the top secret OCOVI warehouse to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you next month. I have no idea what the topic will be, but I'll be on St. Croix because I'll already be on St. Croix. So have a wonderful day. Sorry. And thank you for coming to Science Saturday.
Thank you.